Hello, I'm Roger Bisby from the Skill Builder channel. We come out on a site visit today. We come up to Nottingham to see AJ. What's the story with this place? It looks colonial. It looks like it's got palm trees around it and everything.
We bought this house 2 years ago to turn it into a multi-generational dream home for myself and my parents. It's actually not as old as it looks. The house was built in about 1900, extended in the 1980s. So we're just doing a full renovation on this. It's probably been empty for between 4 and 8 years. We started stripping out all the bottom, and we've noticed a lot of dry rot, a lot of damp.
You say dry rot. Where's the dry rot coming?
From behind all the skirting,
Yeah.
there's a lot of rotten pieces of timber. And when I removed some of the old fireplace rounds,
Yeah.
the bottoms of them were just crumbling.
The difference between dry rot and wet rot. Wet rot obviously needs water to keep it going. Dry rot takes its spores and its tentacles and it draws water in from elsewhere.
Right.
So even though you might cut off the localised damage, it's got these lovely roots which are just sucking water in from everywhere else. But you can see it. You can see that fine cobweb, those white cobwebs. If it's just wet rot,
Yeah.
take away the moisture,
Right.
you take away the rot. This is a suspended floor. It doesn't look that old. This, you know, it looks pretty good. And here, over the back there, you've got a solid floor. So what you very often get is they don't put air bricks going all the way through.
Yeah.
So you get ventilation up front, but you don't get a through flow of air.
Underneath that slab,
Yeah.
we've put 3 loads
Oh,
of
you've done it already?
ventilation
So
through.
that's your
Yeah.
slab, is it?
That's my slab,
Ah,
because it was
okay.
actually about 6 inches higher than it was for some reason. There was a wall just up there.
First of all, you've got to sort out the damp.
I have had a survey done. A couple of the things that they picked up on was that the bases of the fireplace didn't have a DPM under them. So that's what I've done. The plan for this whole house is to have across all the ground floor is a wet underfloor heating system. And the one that we want to use is a retrofit system. So it goes, a foam board goes on top of everything
Yeah.
with the pipes running through, and then we fill in tile on top.
You're going to go wet system, gas fired or heat pump?
I like to really understand everything about what's going into my property. And at the moment, heat pumps, I don't understand enough about them to be able to do that. What I do know is in the future, if we go for solar and the likes of that stuff,
Yeah.
we can always switch it out later. But for now, I'd like to go gas.
You told me that you're an engineer by background.
That's right, yeah.
What kind of engineer is
So
it?
I'm actually a mechanical engineer by trade.
Yeah.
I work in electrical at the moment. So I actually sell cables into the data center industry right now.
I mean, well,
Yeah,
that must be a growth industry.
It's a busy industry, yeah. I know that there's an original damp-proof course. That's
Yeah.
a bituminous type.
Yeah.
But it still seems that there is some dampness, and you can definitely smell it in here.
If you've got a damp-proof course in there, you don't want to be messing around with it.
Okay.
Because what people sometimes do is they start drilling on the same level as the damp-proof course, destroying the damp-proof course to put some dry rods in. What I would say, if you're going to do that, if you want a belt and braces thing, you want to put some dry rods in, go above it. You know, you can go in there.
Yeah.
That'd be a good place. On all the perps, all the way through, and that will give you belt and braces.
What I've read on Safeguard's website, the action of that, the damp rods work upwards
Yeah.
and downwards.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
probably in the brick course above would have been the idea. So it
I think so.
If it gets moist, it will kind of almost self-heal itself.
Yeah. When people say damp-proof courses fail, bitumen ones get a bit cracked and a bit brittle. If you've got a slate, you know, overlap slate, very unlikely that that's going to fail in 200 or 300 years. So I say to people, don't mess with that. Go above it, go below it, but don't go into it. And what you're doing then, is that going to be plastered?
Replaster. And on all of the external faces, I'd like to cover with insulated foam. Not the external faces of the house.
Oh, okay,
The
yeah.
external walls of the house, I'd like to internally
Oh,
insulate.
okay. Well, we're doing a video on that soon,
Yeah.
so I might be able to talk to those people and see if they want a good test case. You might be it, because they're doing quite a lot of it. The only trouble is, if you wanted to keep these,
Yeah. Although they look original to the house,
Yeah.
they're not, and they're not that great.
No.
They'll come out, we'll put something new in.
okay, fair enough. Well, if you're doing that and you've got no problem building out a little bit there and it's the external walls you're interested in, not these.
That's right.
So that's fine. You
Yeah.
could add a bit of internal insulation there. You've got a good overhang there at the front as well, which is obviously going to keep the damp out to a certain extent.
Yeah, I
isn't
think
it?
so. Yeah.
So
The
let's
balconies.
take a tour through then, shall we? Well, you've been digging here.
I have. I've been digging. There was about 2 layers of tiles, no damp-proof membrane, and we're looking at some really thick clay here.
Oh, oh, blimey. Now,
considering that it's 36 degrees outside, it's been hot for a long time, there's a lot of moisture in there, isn't there?
Seems like it, yeah.
That's amazing. What was on top of the clay?
So it was clay, a thin layer of concrete, tile, more concrete and more tile, no DPM.
So that brought you up to there, yeah?
All the way up to
floor
here.
level. So you've gone down a fair way there, and then what's your plan?
Damp-proof membrane under here.
Yeah.
Stone and basically
you're gonna
create
do
a
that,
new
yeah.
slab, but with a damp-proof membrane.
Okay. This is the ideal opportunity to put a bit of insulation in this floor.
Yes.
And then when you put the pipes through, you could put the pipes in the screed, or you can carry on with your low build on top, can't you?
That's exactly it.
Probably sensible to just carry on with the low build one. You probably have quite a few pipes going through room to room at this point, won't you? Or
so.
maybe drill the wall and get some going directly through.
Yeah, so we haven't had the
Depends where your
plans.
boiler is, yeah.
That's it. I mean, the boiler's going to go all the way in that utility over there, so it's central to the house.
If you go to a good company, the underfloor heating company, any of those people, they will give you a full set of drawings.
Sure.
Everything works out, flow rates, the lot, which is great because unless I went to a job the other week where they had the drawings, threw them out and did their own thing, and disastrous. You know, follow those drawings to the letter. You won't go wrong. It's not too bad a dig, this is it. It's a question of where to stop. Probably go down another 6 feet and still find clay there.
And the temperature at the moment's not making it easy.
Oh, what, in terms of perspiration wise?
Yeah.
Mate, you don't need to go to the gym, do you? Just do this.
Exactly. What we had here before we even started anything was an inset fireplace that was put in the 80s, both in this room and the other room. Again, laid with no damp-proof membrane.
Yeah.
But what I thought, and you might correct me if I'm wrong, they had this inset fireplace with all bricks around it, and it seemed to just be soggy and moist and wet.
Maybe a bit of sand and lime in there and so on. You've got a bit coming down the chimney, you've got stuff coming up from below, and like you say, it hangs about there, doesn't it? There's no ventilation in there. What are you going to have in here? Wood burners or nothing?
I will have wood burners, I want wood burning stoves with the door, so that in the winter months, and if we're not running it, we have it closed and we haven't got too much
and it's
to
not
interact.
just drawing all the heat out of the room like an open fireplace. No, I've got a wood burner and I love it.
Yeah. And the great thing is, we seem to have a lot of woodland around
You'll be
here.
right.
Yeah, I think we've got enough wood to last us our lifetimes at least.
This is interesting. Is this a 3-phase?
It is, yeah. So that's the old 3-phase consumer unit there.
Yeah.
That has a T going off to a brand new consumer new unit.
Yeah.
That's going to be replaced because I'm doing a full renovation. I want a brand new system in the house. We'll still keep the 3-phase, and the main reason for that is
Heat pump.
heat pump for the future, but I drive an electric car. It's a lot faster at charging on a 3-phase, yeah.
Whoa, look at this one. So what, are these all scrap, or are you going to reuse some of these skirtings?
To be honest, originally we wanted to keep as much as possible.
I would say that is all wet rot, and this looks like wet rot and woodworm. Yeah, that's not dry rot, so you're all right. It's just localised, so
Good.
You haven't got to go around the whole house with a load of dry rot treatment. You mentioned you've got a flat roof out here somewhere as well.
Flat roof is around all the edges because they're balconies. This was actually put in the 1980s, this room, and it's a double skin, proper damp proof course. Any dampness that we can see in here is what I think is just from the old windows that have now been replaced.
I always wonder about these statues. Obviously, this is a Michelangelo original.
Yes.
Lucky find
Of course.
for you. But they never did the arms, did they?
They never did.
I suppose you just couldn't get a bit of stone big enough to do the arms. And so I thought, well, you know what arms look like? Well, that's where they would go.
She's heavy as well.
She's heavy, is she?
She's heavy.
Okay, let's have a look in this room then.
Yeah, let's take a look.
You didn't think of taking this, you didn't want to take this wall away?
No, I love this. Love this arch.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it separates it. This will become a snug.
Oh,
and
okay.
that room that we've been in previously, that's going to be a dining room.
Did you say where your parents are going to have? Which bit are they going to have?
So they're actually going to be on the other side, which
okay.
was in the old garages.
Yeah. Do they know that?
Yeah.
Your dad's an ex-mechanic. He'd be, he'd be
Right
very
at
happy. Did you buy this at auction or what?
The house went up for auction, but didn't sell. And I think a lot of what had to do with that was the amount of trees that are on the property and the condition that it was in. This is where a lot of the damp problems were coming from.
Oh, okay.
And it came with a lot of wet skirting. it seems to be around the edge, and we've got this black coating on this floor here, although it is a concrete slab.
Yeah, so this is on top. This is black coating. This is like somebody's painted on. Let me have a look at this. Ah, no. Do you know what this is?
Go on.
Asphalt.
Right.
This is the. You used to see guys. I don't know whether they ever saw them, but they get a big hot tub of stuff and a float, and they were just spreading it over the pavement or the road, and it's beautiful stuff. I mean, that will not let damp through.
Perfect.
In a million years. It's great. So I think what you've got to do here, you could either get some more asphalt, which would be really nice if you could clear all this out.
Yeah.
Again, you know, the smell of it, the smell of damp in that.
Definitely
just pinch it together. There's moisture in there, so we know that's damp, and we know it's coming through this asphalt, under the asphalt floor, and trying to get up. So what we need to do is seal it here, and then run something up the wall so that anything that's in there will be soaking down in the wall and not. And then I would probably go through there with dry rods again.
Yeah.
Just to make sure this has overlapped it.
Yeah.
But you've got two choices. One, that you could just get some asphalt and pour it in. Almost self-levels. You get a wooden float and just smooth it off. But you need to lap it up. So I would go in with the dry rods, and then when they're a few weeks up with the bitumen, I think that'd probably be your best bet. Or you could do it with them. But can I nick this?
Of course you can.
Is it all right? 'Cause now that is not original plaster, is it?
No.
Somebody's put really strong sand and cement, thick. Looks dry. Ah, look, and even bitumen behind there. So they obviously had a problem here, didn't they, at one point? They bitumen that wall, blinded it with sand, and then rendered onto it, not very successfully, and a really hard render, which you don't really want there, do you? I'd be tempted to put the membrane treatment, tie in with that, go up to there with your asphalt, either use the dry base products that Safeguard, so that's good, we use that. But it doesn't look to me like you've got running water problems here.
No.
And you've got an outside ground level, which is higher than here.
That's right.
This is going to be your floor level, isn't it? Give or take, you're going to get your underfloor heating up here. But I think maybe there's been some. Although you see all that, you've got the balcony there, so you're not getting a lot through there, are you?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's a job to know how much of this is coming from inside out,
Yeah.
and how much of it is coming that way. If it's clay, as it is evidently everywhere, then it can drift through. But I'd probably end up by doing something on the outside as well, just cutting through, just to make sure that if the ground level is higher out there than in here, at least it's not feeding into the wall. For what it's worth, here, I'd be tempted to hack all this off, get your membrane up there a little bit, whatever you use, and then go over the whole thing with insulated plasterboard.
Perfect.
Oh, this is a nice floor, isn't it?
This is nice, and I think this is a newish floor as well.
Yeah, it looks it.
Again, I think this was put in the 80s, and from what we can see from the joists, they're all wrapped.
Yeah.
So they seem to be...
they just wrapped them where they sat them in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd do that. Some people argue with that. They go, oh, you shouldn't do it because it traps the moisture, but I think it evaporates out. Oh, that's interesting.
Is it?
Yeah. That's interesting because look at that. That's moisture.
Yeah.
That's as wet as... And that's wet on the outside of the polythene. Have you got air bricks at the front?
There's air bricks at the front.
At the back?
Not on this bit, because that bit seems to have been filled.
Do you know what? I think you've got to bite the bullet here and just cut a channel through here.
Yeah.
And you can get flat duct rather than the round pipe.
Sure.
So that will save you a little bit. If you went through with an angle grinder and then put the duct through, because, it's hot.
Yeah.
I know that's condensation. That'd be the humidity in the air getting under there. But anything, moisture's moisture, isn't it? And,
that's right.
And ventilation is the way to cure that. So, yeah, I think before you do too much more, if you find out where those air bricks are, and then put something corresponding going through there, maybe one at either side, or 3 would be ideal.
Sure.
If you could.
Yeah.
If you can manage that. But if not, no. I think that's what you got to do. Really.
Yeah.
What about that rear room there? Is that suspended floor or not?
No, that's solid. That's a new
That's solid.
concrete.
It hasn't rained for a long time, and that is very damp. It's just a question of taking care of those details, isn't it? Under here, you know, all these little places where it might have crept up the edge and rotted the skirting board. We said that, didn't we? That, that skirting board was rotten at the ends, but not further down. And I can feel the back of this door liner. There is, that's rotten wood. That's damp. What I'm thinking is that asphalt that you got there may be a coal-related product. And given that you've got a coal mine over the road, who knows what products the local builders would go, let's get a load of bitumen coal. We'll lay the brickwork, pour the thing on the brickwork, and then carry on the next day.
Makes sense.
Building. It could be something like a liquid damp-proof course. But this is the thing, it's interesting for me because obviously I don't come from this area. I'm south of London. You're seeing completely different stuff, completely different practices, which is, to me, fascinating. You know, I'd love to go around the country just looking at different building techniques and talking to local builders, because you do find they go, oh, yeah, some old builder will come in and go, yeah, that's what they used to do then. My granddad used to do that. I mean, that's good you spotted that, because that's definitely a line of something going through there.
Something there, isn't it?
Isn't it? Smell that. That is tar. That is definitely, yeah, that's a tar smell.
It is, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, definitely got a petroleum kind of smell to it.
A little bit of research when I got back to base told me that coal tar was actually extensively used as a damp-proof course and also for damp-proof membranes. In fact, it was used from the 1600s on, and it is actually a byproduct of making coke for the steel industry and also coal gas. How effective it is 100 years down the line, I don't know, but it was definitely there. So therefore, this would have bridged it, which would have been a strange thing to do unless they'd painted that wall with the same material.
Stuff.
For the sake of it, I know it's probably going to cost you another 100 quid or whatever to go through there with dry rods. You could go both sides of the wall. It's going to help. I'm a great believer in belt and braces.
Perfect.
You know, really.
Looks like they've used that sand and cement here as well, haven't they?
Yeah, somebody's been round here.
Yeah.
And again, this is one of those things, isn't it? It's damp-proof treatments, and somebody would have come around and gone, oh, you've got damp all over the place. Let's hack off the plaster all the way round.
Yeah.
Strong sand and cement, waterproofer in the sand and cement. And then if you've got render outside, and you've got sand and cement with waterproofer in, where's it going to go? It's just trapped in the walls, isn't it?
So there's essentially going to be two parts to the property. One side where myself, my wife, and hopefully our future children will live, over here. And then on the other side, we're going to be converting this, which was actually originally quadruple garage. So these three arches, you used to be able to drive straight through. We've glazed those. That's going to be a kitchen and living area for my parents. On the other side, they'll have their bedroom with an ensuite. I'll take you into one of the other bedrooms. This here is one of the second bedrooms, again, south facing, so we've got loads of nice natural light coming in. So we'll come through this arch now and I'll show you a little bit of the gardens, because they are vast and expansive. This is what was originally a koi pond and is eventually going to become a seating area for the whole family, really. So we'll empty it out and have it as a seating pit. Unfortunately, a young deer has passed away in there, but that'll all be cleared out at some point. I wasn't joking when I said we've got more than enough wood to last our lifetime. There are thousands of trees, including these beautiful palm trees, loads of conifers, and then further down, which I will show you, we've got loads of beautiful fruit trees. And eventually, once we're in and we're living here, we want to be able to grow some of our own food, maybe even have some chickens, so that we can be a little bit more sustainable. Beautiful things that they brought over, really, to bring the Mediterranean to here. That's actually a eucalyptus tree, and it's got to be 50 years old because it's about 60 foot high. So on this side is where all the fruit trees start, and you can see the plums that are starting to come out now. Once we've been able to have a chance to finish off the house, we'll be able to clear a little bit more of the garden and enjoy the fruits, the genuine fruits of their labour. The original was up to that where the bay is.
Yeah.
So up to
Okay.
that second column.
Got it.
And then that side of it's all been added on,
Yeah.
and all the back of the property.
And these oil drums, obviously.
Of course, they're going to stay right there. As a,
You got an Instagram
that's
account?
right, at the multigenerational.
Oh, right.
And it's short for at the multigenerational renovation.
Renovation, okay.
Yeah,
Multi-geno reno, that's
the
nice.
multigenerano.
That rolls off the tongue,
Yeah,
doesn't it? All
yeah.
right, mate. Nice to see you.
Nice
anyway.
one. Hopefully
Cheers.
we'll see you on YouTube soon
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, you will. Cheers.